Feng Shui, the ancient Chinese art of harmonizing with natural energy, or qi, for balance, peace, and electrocuting legions of tacit discords. Buling is here from the Black Shores, and she is without a doubt the strongest 4-star character in the game. Not counting any of you guys, of course. But she brings the debuff of Electro Flare and buff resonant skill damage, all while doing a surprising amount of sub-DPS damage when used properly. Buling is a sight to behold, and as you balance the weights of the world, Buling will ensure that your weights don't tip over. My name is VoidEnigma, and Buling is our topic for today. As an author of the in-game guide depot featuring Buling, I've got a thing or two to teach you about Feng Shui, and I've got one thing to say about Buling. She feels phenomenal, but she can be a bit confusing. Leave a like on this video so that I can afford to pay the internet bill, and subscribe to balance Buling's scales of chi. Now, let's harmonize and hit that stride and learn about Buling. Buling is a powerful support resonator who assists the team with supplementary damage, consistent buffing, and constant healing throughout her kit. She can inflict stacks of Electro Flare, which is a debuff that periodically deals damage. As a friendly reminder, Electro Flare is a debuff that stacks up to 10, and each time it deals damage it gets halfled. Once you actually get more than 10 stacks though, you'll actually begin to gain stacks of Electro Rage, which enhances the damage that is being done by Electro Flare. Buling's rotation consists of stacking trigrams and using heavy attacks to fill her forte. She gains trigrams in 4 different ways: basic attack 2, basic attack 4, resonant skill, and her mid-air attack. She can consume her trigrams by using heavy attacks, and depending on the amount of which trigrams you consume, different effects activate. When she consumes 1 trigram with a heavy attack, she gains a yellow charge. When she consumes 2 trigrams with a heavy attack, she'll gain a blue charge. And you need both to complete her rotation. This is actually her yin and yang that she'll be collecting, and once you have both, she'll enter a yin-yang balancing state, which will actually just upgrade her Resonance Liberation. You always want to use the upgraded Resonance Liberation because that's where you get the buffs and the extra damage and the Electro Flare. When used, she will summon a talisman that will do 2 things. It'll buff the team and also deal Electro Flare damage. Well, really, it's inflicting Electro Flare stacks. Every 2 seconds, 2 stacks of Electro Flare will be inflicted to every enemy in the area, and this effect lasts for 24 seconds, which is a pretty nice countdown. The buff that you'll gain is a 10% resonant skill damage buff, but it will be upgraded to a 25% resonant skill damage buff when your allies use intro skills. This resonant skill damage buff is similar to that of Shorekeeper, where the first intro skill is going to buff it to 10%, giving 10% resonant skill damage bonus, and then the second intro skill is going to buff it to 25%. So you want to start your rotation with Buling's outro, and then go through your characters and make sure that you end up landing on your resonant skill buffer last. Additionally, her outro skill also amplifies the team's damage by 15% like some of the other healers in the game. All around, it makes her a very competent unit capable of buffing resonant skill damage and dealing decent damage while also providing healing. She's a mini Shorekeeper with a different flavor of damage, and with sequences, she gets much better, but we'll talk about that a bit later. A sample rotation for Buling is to use her resonant skill, and thanks to the perks of her resonant skill, she'll be able to follow that up with a free basic attack 4 to gain 2 trigrams of the same color. This will let her get a blue forte charge when she uses a heavy attack. She can then use her basic attack 2 and 4, and then with another heavy attack, she'll gain that yellow charge in her forte. With those 2 charges in place, she can cast her Resonance Liberation, and then swap off-field for the next character who will inherit the Resonant Skill damage buff, and get some healing from Buling. Buling will be doing some decent off-field damage with her constant Electro Flare output, and the added benefits of a Resonant Skill buffer is also a very nice touch. She's a capable 4-star who can rival that of Arena, making her the perfect option for a second team across many different types of content. Now that we've got the kit out of the way, let's talk about Buling's Echo option so you can build her right. Buling is a traditional character who follows a traditional Echo formula. We're finally back to 5-piece sets, and we're going to be going with Rejuvenating Glow, which will actually offer some attack bonuses whenever you heal anyone. Since Buling is more of a supportive character, this is going to be her best echo set to support other characters. For the elite pieces, she can go with attack percent or energy regen if you're realizing that her liberation isn't coming up quick enough. And for those common pieces, obviously we're going with attack percent. Healing bonus for that main 4-slot piece, and you wanted to use the fallacy of the end because that's going to be the best option, as it's going to provide buff for the entire team when you use the echo. Since Buling's damage is very minimal, she thrives with having better healing to support your characters than actually stacking more damage, like with the Electro Void set. If you're dead set on her dealing more damage, then you do want to go with the Electro set. For substats, you'll prioritize energy regen and attack. This is the best supportive build until we can get perhaps an Electro Flare carry. That might actually open up more echo options for her in the future, but for now, Rejuvenating Glow is the way to go. Regarding Buling's weapon, she does well with variations as any other supportive rectifier user, and this weapon will ease her rotation as she'll be generating way more forte, and the energy regen from this weapon is probably all that she'll need. She has many other weapon options, and another one that she can use instead of the variation is Cosmic Ripples, as that's going to give her a lot of extra attack percent so that she can heal a lot more. And of course, if you have String Master just laying around, then definitely go with String Master. It is a little overkill, and I'd probably prefer variation myself. Her scaling as a main carry is obviously not the best, but her damage isn't completely non-existent, it's just not that good. You can, of course, force her into the role, and if you lack variation, then of course you definitely want to go with at least Cosmic Ripples to give her that attack scaling that she needs to provide some good healing. Now let's talk about Buling's sequences, because as a 4-star, she will gain access to sequences very easily. And the big ones are sequence 2, 5, and 6. We'll skip over the rest because they're not really that game-changing. Sequence 2 is a great way to get her liberation more easily due to gaining 25 resonance energy whenever she enters the yin-yang balance state. This greatly reduces her energy needs and makes her rotation that much easier to achieve. Her S5 allows her talisman from her resonance liberation that does periodic damage to inflict a stack of Electro Flare. 6 to be exact, and that's pretty great because when you actually first drop it, it's going to really just jumpstart the Electro Flare stack. And finally, her S6. That's going to double the resonance skill damage buff from 25% to 50%, which is a significant boost. This is where she becomes the de facto option for characters that she buffs, and those who use resonance skills. But let's talk about those characters. Buling does one thing well, and it's buff resonance skill damage users, so the main team that she wants to actually be used in is those who use resonance skill damage. Carlotta, Frolova, Changli to an extent, but this is where she's going to thrive, alongside the actual resonance skill damage buffers such as Judgy, Cantarella, and Brant. Since she'll be buffing her resonance skill damage for all of the characters, those other characters who buff them with their natural outro skill are just going to be a great asset to the full team. Another character that works really well with her is Chisa, whom is able to actually buff her status infliction and grant the whole team defense ignore. Chisa becomes a much better option for Buling when Buling is at S5, because Buling will be able to actually keep up more Electro Flare and Electro Rage stacks so that Chisa can much better help her with her outro skill. So overall, she's a great buffer for resonance skill damage users, and she's capable of being slotted in anywhere where Verena and Shorekeeper would naturally go. She is the third best option in this case over Baiji, and that goes for all characters, especially those who use resonance skill damage. Electro Flare, Electro Rage, 50% damage amp, resonance skill damage buffer. Pretty damn capable overall. Buling really balances the scales of a good 4-star. She has a niche and she fits it well, and her main niche of Electro Flare hasn't even been found yet. As a contender for the Shorekeeper slot, she isn't as strong as Shorekeeper, but she isn't that far behind either. I'd argue she is a bit better than an S0 Verena in many cases, especially when you're using her in a team where resonance skill damage is a big thing. So the big question, should you prioritize your pulls for her? No. If you have Coral, then you can actually use your Coral to get her, but you shouldn't really risk your pulls for a character that you don't like. If you are pulling for like Frolova, then yeah, it's definitely a great option. Also, if you're missing a secondary Shorekeeper, she can be a really big priority. If you only have Arena, then she can be a supplementary character for your second team, and if you only have Shorekeeper and you happen to not have Arena and you're kinda tired of using Baija, then definitely use her instead. She's going to be a great 4-star, and I cannot wait to see how she ages, especially when Electro Flare comes out. So what are your thoughts on Buling? Is she overtuned or undertuned, or is she just balanced, like Feng Shui, right? Leave a comment down below if you think that this marks a change for the power budget of 4-star characters in Wuthering Waves, and let me know what you just think about Buling's performance in many teams. Leave a like to balance the ratios to one side if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe so you don't miss out on similar content. Until next time, Enigma out.